What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Fight Court with King Mo Lawal, Ryan the Mighty Quinn. How you doing? How you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. I know you watched the Boots Ennis, or you saw the highlights. Boots Ennis versus Xander Zayes.
Dude, Brooklyn was on its feet, man. Like I had to be reminded where it was. I thought that was international because even going into the fight, the crowd was crazy. Like I was, I really wonder too if like the World Cup's in the United States right now. We're seeing it in baseball where a lot of these fans are going to baseball games and stuff like that. I wonder if they're here and they're just spending the money and they're going because, regardless, it's a good time to be a sports fan in America right now because the World Cup's here. You got all these people. Do you think that had any influence on it?
Well, I think this past weekend was Puerto Rican Day.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. That's why
okay. Puerto Ricans out there in full effect. And you saw the Puerto Rican star in Xander Zayes, a young Puerto Rican star, only 22, 23 years old.
Yeah.
You saw him come out there and try to make a name for himself. And he put up a great accounting in this fight. He showed that he belongs. I don't even know where to start because the whole fight card from start to finish was a banger. I mean, full of bangers. People were getting stopped. They're good. Just great exchanges. And, yeah, it was a great night of fights all around.
So I don't want to get into this, but I'm going to say it. And this is hard for an MMA guy to say. Boxing's winning right now. You know what I'm saying? Like boxing versus MMA. Boxing has the better fights right now.
Well, you know what? There are no winners because when boxing raises, MMA raises. Because you have to raise the bar rises. So you're going to see a good MMA card coming up soon. You'll see a great scrap coming on soon. But really, when it comes down to it, the combat sports world is doing good.
Absolutely.
This weekend we had the BKFC, we had PFL, we had the UFC, and we also had a boxing event.
Yeah.
So we saw it all. We got a little taste of everything. It was a combat sports buffet.
Yeah. A la carte.
Yeah.
Watching the fight, first, Boots Ennis is lightning fast. Loved watching the angles he created in his punching. He did say something after in the post fight where they asked him, "Were you surprised that he just stood there and fought and he didn't try to create angles?" And he said, "I wasn't surprised, but I was aware that he's very good at doing both." Were you surprised that that's how Xander Zayes fought that fight or stuck to that fight? Or you think he was hurt and he just was doing what he could to stay in the fight? Because towards the end, it did kind of look like he did just kind of stand there with the guard up.
Well, Xander Zayes cuts a lot of weight, so he's a big guy. But in the first round, he got hurt and he said he lost his legs.
Yeah.
And, so he had to hold his ground. Boots forced him to hold his ground. But then at the same time, there are spots within that fight that you saw Xander Zayes move a little bit. Not as much as he used to, but he moved a little bit. Try to create angles, but Boots is the Terminator. He came to fight. Both men came to fight. It's just, and both men were dogs. It's just that Boots was just a little more mature.
Yeah.
And he was a little more solid in that style that's exhibited this past weekend.
It didn't look like Boots threw the same combination twice. Like he really just mixed it up so well. He had a really nasty right liver shot hook. I think it was the fourth round. I love seeing that. I think it's a very Mexican style of boxing, and it's just I attribute that to great coaching, double M bag work. But how do you develop stuff like that, like creating angles? Because that's something that I think that MMA fighters and young boxers could really learn from is, you got to learn the basics, but you don't want to be cookie cutter 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3 through 4. So how do you learn to create angles when you're learning to strike like that?
Well, for one, it comes with footwork. You have to have the proper foot placement as you punch. 2, you have to watch film. There are guys like Orlando Canasales, Bam Rodriguez, Alexander Usyk, Vasily Lomachenko. But personally, my two favorites are Orlando Canasales and Bam Rodriguez. They create angles perfectly. Bam Rodriguez is a southpaw, and the way he creates angles is phenomenal. Orlando Canasales was a bantamweight for many years ago, and the stuff he pulled, the stuff he did was phenomenal. He fought in the Matrix. The way he moved was like very like Neo-ish. He was slick. He carried a lot of power, and man, Boots does the same thing off the pivot. If you notice, you see him pivot a lot off the front foot. He threw the finishing combo, not the finishing combo, but he dropped him with a right hook and he pivoted through a left hook.
Yeah.
And, he did a lot of damage off the pivots. Michael Hunter as well. Michael Hunter is he's a special boxer, and he's one of the first fighters I've seen that experienced use the pivoting real well. I used to spar with him, and I couldn't touch him. I couldn't see him.
Have you spoken to him? How's he doing? I haven't spoken to him in a while.
Yeah, he's doing good, man. He has a hard time getting fights. He's supposed to fight Zayes, but the fight fell through. But Michael Hunter, in my opinion, was one of the most talented boxers that I ever, seen in my own two eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And just the stuff he could do in the ring, the angles he created, he was second to none.
I just remember the stories you telling me about him just punking people. Inspiring.
He just come in and just, out of shape and just beat people up, man.
Yeah. Michael Hunter. He was a cool dude too. I enjoyed time with him.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say about I know you like this. Boots had a really good pull on display.
Yeah.
And that was textbook. It was really nice.
He showed a plethora of punches from different angles. He showed a very creative punch selection. Like Boots, he has a very Philly style of fighting. I know you said Mexican is more of Philly, where
he gets
hurt, he'll fight you. All the guys from Philly have that type of demeanor.
Mm-hmm.
That's the temperament.
Okay.
They get hurt, they don't get on the bike. They just fight you. They bring the fire. And Boots brought that fire. Bernard, like think about this. Bernard Hopkins fought Trinidad. Bernard Hopkins was the boxer. Trinidad was the dynamic fighter.
Mm-hmm.
We saw the same thing in reverse, where we had the Philly fighter, just like Bernard Hopkins. He was the boxer, but the dynamic fighter. And the Puerto Rican wasn't he wasn't dynamic, but he was the boxer, mover.
Mm-hmm.
That was I don't know. I'm not sure what's next for Boots, but whatever's next, it might be Virgil Ortiz or Josh Kelly or Sebastian Fundora. I'm cool with seeing any three of those fights. I was entertained last night, and Boots is the truth. He's a very entertaining fighter to watch fight. He's very skilled. He has some good tactics when he chooses to use them.
Mm-hmm.
Good chin. He has a big heart. He's very conditioned. I think he's a future star. He's a star now.
Yeah.
Him and David Benavidez and Bam Rodriguez are my three favorite boxers to watch right now. And I'm looking and Moses Itoma as well. Those three, you're guaranteed to see action when they fight.
Nice. So do you think it's fair to say that Xander Zayes, he failed forward last night? He fell forward?
Well, I wouldn't even consider him failing because he was the underdog in this fight.
Yeah.
23 years old. He was like, you know what? I want the toughest fights out there.
Mm-hmm.
And Bob Arum, contact Eddie Hearn in Matchroom Boxing. Let's make this fight happen. And he did. At 23 years old, he had 2 belts that were unified.
Mm-hmm.
Tried to seek out the toughest fight. Right now, in MMA and boxing, in combat sports, period, you'll see it, but not like this.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen this fast. And, credit to Xander Zayes for accepting the challenge of making that happen.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Love these stories. What do we got to look forward next week for boxing?
Next week, Albert Bell versus Abdullah Mason. Now, I forgot to mention, Abdullah Mason is another fighter. Whoa. Young kid. This guy comes to fight. He's from Ohio.
Uh-huh.
A lot of the guys from Ohio are just like the Philly guys, the Pennsylvania and Ohio connection. They'll come and fight you. And Abdullah Mason can box you, but he will fight you. And he's a young kid. He probably has one of the best jabs in boxing. He's a great punch selection, and he's fighting Albert Mason, who's from Ohio as well. So it's the battle for Ohio that's happening next week. It's gonna be a great fight. It's gonna be a great fight.
I have that Aaron Pryor song playing in my head now. Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, cool. So there is something I want to talk. The UFC was fairly lackluster last night. However, I always like to pick apart some kind of theme within the actual fighting that we could discuss.
It was lackluster, really, because I saw a bunch of finishes. I forgot that
there were submissions. There were submissions. Oh, there was 3 contested knockouts. 3 contested knockouts, which were interesting. One of them I didn't think was a knockout. It was early on in the card. I mean, no, one of them I didn't think was bad, but the announcers were kind of frying him. Like, basically what happened was the guy had wrist control. The guy on by him had wrist control, and I don't even remember who it was. And he was holding like the trap shoulder area, but he was getting like 4, 5, maybe 6 punches direct, and his head was whipping back and forth, and his eyes were open. Like, I was cool with the stoppage. Like, what are you waiting for at that point? Like,
he wasn't intentional. He wasn't like defending himself intelligently.
No. Like, and then when the ref came in, the offensive fighter had stopped, and then the guy on bottom kind of locked up. So yeah, I guess you could argue that he had some willingness, but at that point, what are we waiting for? 3 more punches? Like 3 more hard punches. So like, I kind of got the refs back on that one. The other 2, questionable. I don't remember what happened. Like, yeah, those are a little questionable. But it's weird. There was a couple of refs that I didn't recognize last night. I don't know if they were newer or they're from the area. This always happens. But that first one, I thought the ref did the right thing, even though the announcing crew was like, "Oh, horrible stoppage." But one thing I saw, and if you watch the highlights, it really magnifies this, especially with the strike. Actually, the style of fight, like I said, like submissions and counter striking, but there was a lot of counter right hands last night. And as we know, when the UFC has these cards, when they go to a new country, a foreign country outside the United States, they load it with fighters from the area. Like, and the one cool thing about that is we get to see, like you said, like the Philly fighters, how they fight. You could see how these countries, how they traditionally, what their MO is with their fighting when they do this. And I think that this really replicated the Eastern European style of fighting. Counter striking, conserving energy, very explosive, not just counter striking, counter combinations, because they're really explosive. It's not like they miss and make you pay. Kicks, punches. Anyway, what do you see in that aspect? First, what do you see now as a coach or in MMA? Like when these fighters, maybe when they come over to train, maybe you're coaching against them in a fight. Maybe you're using that when you're coaching someone. What do you see with this aspect?
It just depends on the aspect.
Yeah.
In the Eastern European style of combat sports, especially pertaining to MMA, you see guys that do sambo, you see wrestlers, you see the wushu sanda guys, they're strikers.
Yeah.
And then you see with the temperaments, you see guys that are sportsmen that will come out just to win. And then you have guys that will come and try to bang you out of there.
Yeah.
Like Rizvan Kunaev, Omari Akhmedov. Those guys will try to get you out of there. You have guys like Islam Makhachev and Usman Nurmagomedov. Those guys are sportsmen. They'll get you out of there, but they're more tactical.
Yeah.
They'll think things through. They're more methodical with their approach. So it just depends on what you're facing or who you're coaching first. Those guys,
right? Yeah,
because a lot of those guys, the guys that are more methodical, the sportsmen like Usman Nurmagomedov and Islam Makhachev, they're about position first. They'll get the position, they'll get the distance first before they do damage.
Yeah,
guys like Rizvan Kunaev and Omari Akhmedov, they're trying to get you out of there. They're trying to get in your chest or they're trying to land something big to change the aspect or the outlook of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
So it just depends on who you're trying to see, because a lot of the guys, they're sportsmen, they'll get a position, hold on to that position until they can get a better position to do damage.
Yeah.
Where you have the guys like Omari and Rizvan, if they get any position that can do damage, they're not waiting. They're trying to get you out of there. They're rushing it. But at the same time, they're very intense and they throw heat. So if they land, the fight might be over.
Right. That's a great take. Yeah, because I'm, especially now because, people from that part of the world are taking, like, they're on top with MMA right now, for the most part, like they're.
My bad, catch you off. So, like, for instance, last night, PFL, AJ McKee fought a Russian that's undefeated. He had one fight go past the second round. Past the second round. He was 10-0 with 10 stoppages. AJ put them things on him. AJ fought smart. AJ used a game plan. AJ took him down. AJ utilized distance. The guy who was fighting was trying to knock him out, just throwing heat. But you can't sustain that style for 3 rounds consistently. You have to take breaks to recharge and be explosive again. The way the body works with the ATP, adenosine triphosphate, that's the explosive system. Like, you can't be explosive for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You can be explosive for seconds at a time. Where AJ utilized distance, was scoring his points, and got a takedown and got to the positions and then did damage. So it depends on what you're facing, because AJ at the same time, AJ can be a seek and destroy fighter. He can walk you down and get you out of there. Or he can play the game and be smart and utilize distance and be more methodical with his approach to get the victory. And last night we saw him use a different approach to get the victory versus a guy that's kind of dangerous.
So you just reminded me of something. We're talking about ATP and explosiveness. I always laughed that one of the most athletic people that trained an American top team with us was Sean Jordan, because he doesn't have the stereotypical athletic body. But he was definitely the most explosive person. I remember whenever we ran sprints, and he would say anything after 40 yards, but anything before 40 yards, he beat everybody in sprints. And then I remember in the old gym, we used to have to do like the lap, and like Brian Harris would have us doing like the full lap in the back. And even if that, like, he would beat us for the first 10, 15, 20 yards, and then he was way behind. But God forbid it was 40. He was blowing us all out of the water. It's pretty crazy how explosive. Actually, I did a power workout this morning. I was just throwing the medicine ball up and down the park. Try to get that explosiveness up. So tell us a little bit what you noticed with that when you were wrestling internationally with people from that area.
It just depends on where they're from.
Okay, yeah.
If they're Chechen or Dagestani, they were more methodical. They went for big throws. They used more setups. They were more clingy and wiry. But if they're from Ossetia, they were explosive and get you out. They blast double legs, big moves, big throws. So it depended on the body type and the temperament and the area that competitor came from.
Yeah.
Because like over there in the Eastern European bloc, you see different techniques and different styles, but they're kind of closely interwoven, but they're still dramatically different at the same time.
Yeah. It's like you got ice cream, you got vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry.
Then you have your sherbet.
Then you got your sherbet if you're dairy free. So, all right, that's all I really got this week. You got anything? Is that all good?
Oh yeah, everything's good, man. Fighters, if you're trying to learn something, or add new things to your skill set, watch Bam Rodriguez's last fight. I think he fought Vargas, and utilize those angles he creates, and imagine yourself utilizing those angles at different distances, because off those angles you can still throw your elbows, kicks, knees, punches, as well as you can shoot off the angles as well. So look up Bam Rodriguez, check out Orlando Canizales, Moses Itoma, Abdullah Mason. Those people right there, they're slick. Giorgio Petrosian for kickboxing. Those are the guys to watch.
Nice. All right. Well, if you like this episode of Fight Court and you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, and share. Tell your friends about us. Any fighters trying to learn more about the game, We got a lot of good stuff coming up. Peace.